Kung ngayon, lahat yan ay mapapakinggan nyo na sa inyong mga cellphone. Dahil online na tayo, mga kamilenyo, kaya manood, makinig, dito sa Millennial Online TV.
Rider, sumalpok sa
Kaya
poste ng
i-follow, like, subscribe, at i-share na, mga katropa.
Ngayon, just to continue, Mr. Clyde Teves, the person named in the search warrant, was not around during the implementation of the search.
Talakayan. Representative. Opinion. Palawakin. Aksyonan. Kasama Selos dito na sa yung Millennial Online TV.
Barangay, pangunahing unit ng pamahalaan lokal, kung saan dito pinag-uusapan ang bawat sigalot ng mga residente ng bawat barangay. Dito rin pinag-uusapan ng mga piling halal na opisyal na barangay ang mga proyekto para sa kanilang barangay. Kumustahin natin ang panunungkulan ni Kapitan dito sa Dama Barangay sa Millennial Online TV worldwide, ang katropa ng bawat barangay.
Ating tinatapos ang ating pagpupulong. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pagdalo at tapos na po ang ating session. Enjoy na po tayo.
Responsable ka bang gun owner? At mahaba ba ang iyong pasensya? At hindi ba intin ang iyong ulo? Alam mo rin ba ang batas hinggil sa pag-iingat ng baril o firearms? Kung hindi,
A responsible gun owner?
Are you 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 a responsible gun owner? The PNP Civil Security Group would like to advise all firearms holders to renew their license to own and possess firearms and firearms registration within 6 months before its expiry date. Tumawag na at makipag-ugnayan.
Be a responsible gun owner.
One Gun Pilipinas ang sagot, mga katropa at kaganos. Tayo ituturo sa inyo ng One Gun Pilipinas o OGP ang lahat ng legal na paraan at proseso upang ikaw ay maging isang responsableng gun owners. Ano pa hinihintay nyo, mga kaganers? Sali na sa One Gun Pilipinas ngayon na. Responsable ka bang gun owner? At mahaba ba ang iyong pasensya? At hindi ba intin ang iyong ulo? Alam mo rin ba ang batas hinggil sa pag-iingat ng baril o firearms? Kung hindi,
A responsible gun owner?
Are you 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 a responsible gun owner? The PNP Civil Security Group would like to advise all firearms holders to renew their license to own and possess firearms and firearms registration within 6 months before its expiry date. Tumawag na at makipag-ugnayan.
Be a responsible gun owner.
One Gun Pilipinas ang sagot, mga katropa at kagangers. Tayo ituturo sa inyo ng One Gun Pilipinas o OGP ang lahat ng legal na paraan at proseso upang ikaw ay maging isang responsableng gun owners. Ano pa hinihintay nyo, mga kagangers? Sali na sa One Gun Pilipinas ngayon na! Responsable ka bang gun owner? At mahaba ba ang iyong pasensya? At hindi ba initin ang iyong ulo? Alam mo rin ba ang batas hinggil sa pag-iingat ng baril o firearms? Kung hindi,
A responsible gun owner.
Are you a responsible gun owner? Are you a responsible gun owner?
Are you a responsible gun owner?
Are you a responsible gun owner?
Are you a responsible gun owner? The PNP Civil Security Group would like to advise all firearms holders to renew their license to own and possess firearms and firearms registration within 6 months before its expiry date. Tumawag na at makipag-ugnayan.
Be a responsible gun owner.
One Gun Pilipinas ang sagot, mga katropa at kagangers. Tayo ituturo sa inyo ng One Gun Pilipinas o OGP ang lahat ng legal na paraan at proseso upang ikaw ay maging isang responsableng gun owners. Ano pa hinihintay nyo, mga kagangers? Sali na sa One Gun Pilipinas ngayon na! Responsable ka bang gun owner? At mahaba ba ang iyong pasensya? Ikaw ba'y nag-iisa? Nalulungkot? Dahil iniwan at ipinagpalit, niloko, nanging minamahal. Kung ngayon, i-type sa inyong mga cellphone, Facebook o YouTube man ang Millennial Online TV. Dahil nasa Millennial Online TV na ang online realista ng bagong milenyo, si Randall Villanos.
Sana'y di magmahal kung dati kung araw nang di pang bata sa piling ni nanay. Nais kong mauli ang awit ni nang mahal. You are the one who makes me happy when everything else turns to gray.
Oras sa ugat, alas 7:20 ng gabi, Philippine Standard Time. At sa inyo po ang programang Tropa, Thursday edition, siyempre dito lang sa Millennial Online TV, News and Updates. Siyempre, ROCEL LOPEZ sa inyong kapiling. At nako, maulang gabi, no? Mabagyong gabi sa inyong lahat. At nako, may bagyo na naman tayo, no? Si Kristine. Ano ba apelido ni Kristine? Hindi naman wala apelido eh. Mga bagyo wala apelido. Maganda sa may apelido, no? Kristine Hermosa, Kristine Jacob, di ba? Okay po na mga kaibigan, araw po ng Huwebes, ika-24 ng buwan ng Oktubre, taon 2024 at mabagyong gabi sa inyong lahat. O yung ating mga dabarkan sa bagay, ngayon po ay walang pasok, kaya medyo sigurado mga nasa bahay lang yung ating mga dabarkats, yung ating mga netizen, no? Yung mga ating junakis, siguradong nasa bahay lang yan. Pagka naman kayo umalis pat bagyong-bagyo, nasa sa inyo na yon. Kaya yung mga nasa labas naman at mayroong mga trabaho pa rin, abay ingat-ingat po sa mga pag-uwi, no? Ika nga, ako, marami na hong lubog na mga karsada na mga lugar, no, sa Kalakhang, Maynila at sa Karatig, Lalawigan. Kaya ingat pa rin, lalo na ating mga riders. Slippery when wet. Ingat-ingat, huwag kayong magmatulin. Makakarating din kayo sa inyong paroroonan, sabi nga. Okay, at tayo magandang gabi rin sa ating grupo na Media Riders Eagles Club ng Central Luzon Region 45, no? Ng Philippine Eagles, siyempre sa ating mga aspirant, no? Lahat-lahat na, hindi ko na isa-isahin, marami. Magandang gabi sa inyo. At siyempre po sa aming governor ng CLR 45, walang iba kundi si Governor Rafael Agkawili. Magandang gabi. Good evening. At siyempre sa lahat ng ating mga kuya, ating bunso at Prince of Eagles, good evening, kahit ibang club kayo, kahit ibang region, no, kahit sa kabilang paksyon, abay magandang gabi pa rin sa inyo. Ika nga, One Agila. Merong One Agila party list, medyo abangan nyo yan. Okay, so yun mga kaibigan, at mamaya itutungay natin sa inyo yung ating lagay ng panahon buhat sa DOST PagAsa. Ito po ay bulletin nila na as of 5 p.m. at ito hanggang sa 24 oras. At bukod dyan, ilabas din natin, itunghay natin yung pong ginawa situational briefing, no, ng sitwasyon ng mga bagyong Kristine, no, na pinangunahan nga po ng ating Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Mamaya yan, malalaman natin, no, ano yung mga paghahanda, anong ginawa ng ating gobyerno. Okay, tuloy-tuloy tayo mga kaibigan, pero bago hulat yung mga yun, sa oras na alas 7:24, abay unahin po natin, no, yung pong nilapastangan na alaala, sabi nga, no, yung pong kung saan po ay yung ika nga ito, pakinggan na natin, tingnan rin na natin, ito na mas maganda, no, na ito nga pong Tugatog Cemetery ay nilapastangan, no, noong kasagsagan pa ng pandemya, no, nilapastangan nga ng alaala Tugatog Cemetery na giniba, no, sa gitna ng pandemya. Naku, yun po masaklap. Alam nyo po, yan po ay naabutan ko, no? Yan pong issue na yan. Totoo po yan na talaga pong nilapastangan po't ginibayan noong pong panahon ng pandemic, no? Talagang ako po ilahandon pa dahil meron po lumapit sa ating mga kababayan tungkol po dyan. At yun nga mga ka-trending, no, alam nyo ba na noong taong 2020, no, kung kailan ng pandemic, sa kasagsagan nga nitong pandemya, biglang giniba ang Tugatog Cemetery sa Malabon City, no? Isipin nyo, ito sa gitna ng takot at pangamba sa COVID-19, iniwan ng gobyerno sa kanilang huling hantungan ang ating mga yumaong mahal sa buhay para lang bigyan daan ang tinatawag nilang development. Nako, dapat pinagpaliban na. Bakit doon pa sa pandemic na senaryo? At mabuti na lang daw at talagang nandyan daw itong si Mayor Jeannie Sandoval para muling ibalik ang kapayapaan o ang kapayapaang ninakaw sa Tugatog Cemetery. Ayun, maraming salamat daw sa puso't malaki, no? At malaki, no? Puso't malasakit nitong si Mayor Jeannie Sandoval. Alam niyo, sa totoo lang po, no, mga katropa, noong pong pandemic, may lumapit po sa akin dyan kasi po, noong time po ng pandemic na yan, kasi yung kanilang mga yumao ay pinaalis po noong mismong administrator. Siyempre, order po iyon from the City Hall at yun po ay sa pamumuno pa noon ni dating Mayor Lenlen Oreta, no? Na pinaalis po yung mga yumao nila ron na ilipat sa ibang lugar o kaya naman pwede rin i-stay ron, pero nagkaguluho noon. Siyempre, marami yung mga namatayan o may mga mahal nila sa buhay na nahando na paano gagawin, di ba? Kaya medyo po nung time na yun medyo natarantaho at naalarma ang mga residente ng Malabon City, no, particular yung pong mga mahal sa buhay nilang nakahimlay diyan po sa Tugatog Cemetery. Pwede naman ho gawin na yun kung alimbawang ipa-private, semi-private, pero sana hindi ho tinapat ng pandemic, no? Ito, lumapit ho sa akin dyan yung isa kong kabatchmate Yun nga, problema sila doon sa kanilang nanay na nandun nakalibing na yun nga. At siyempre, una-una nangyari una-una. Siyempre sa dami niyan, matatapos baka agad yun. So ganun nangyari. Buti na lang, medyo kakilala rin natin yung isa sa namamahala ron. Naipakiusap natin na ayusin kaagad yung labi ng kanilang nanay. Ewan ko kung doon pa rin nilibing o ililipat nila sa ibang libingan. So yan po yung naging senaryo dyan po sa Tugatog Cemetery no? Na talaga namang maraming na-alarma po na mga residente, partikular yung kanilang mga mahal sa buhay na nakahimlay doon. Wala tayong magagawa. Talagang ganoon. Okay? Okay, so mga kaibigan, nagatid sa atin nga sa oras na alas 7:37 po ng gabi, Philippine Standard Time. Tuloy-tuloy po tayo at huwag na natin patagalin. Siyempre, itunghin na natin kaagad yung pong lagay ng ating panahon. Buhat po naman sa DOST PagAsa, no? Na ito inulat po ng isa natin sa katropang weather specialist doon po sa PagAsa. Narito po.
Magandang hapon. Update na nga muna tayo sa ating binabantayan na si Bagyong Kristine. Ito ang si Kristine ay kaninang alas 4 ng hapon nasa may coastal waters na ng Santa Lucia, Ilocos Sur. Ito ay nagtataglay ng lakas na hangin na 95 kilometers per hour malapit sa sentro at bugso na abot sa 145 kilometers per hour. Ito ay kumikilos sa direksyong kanluran ng mabagal. Ito ang si Kristine ay nananatili pa rin sa severe tropical storm category. Maliban nga dito kay Kristine, may minomonitor pa tayong low pressure area sa labas naman ng ating Philippine Area of Responsibility. Itong low pressure area na ito, nananatiling mataas ang tsansa na maging bagyo in the next 24 hours. At nakita nga natin yung posibleng path na tahakin nitong low pressure area na ito, posibleng lumapit ito sa may northern Luzon area o hindi kaya mag-recurve. So, dahil malayo pa nga or maraming araw pa yung pagdadaanan natin, ay mataas pa yung uncertainty, kaya lagi tayo mag-antabay sa mga ilalabas na update ng PagAsa. So, tingnan naman natin yung magiging track nitong si Kristine. Naasahan na nga natin na by tomorrow, lalabas na ng ating Philippine Area of Responsibility itong si Kristine. By tomorrow afternoon nga, and then, inaasahan na natin dahil papunta na nga itong si Kristine sa karagatan, ay posibleng lumakas na nga ito habang kumikilos sa West Philippine Sea area. Inaasahan naman natin na in the next 5 days, mananatili ito as severe tropical storm, pero hindi pa nga rin natin nirurule out yung tsansa na ito ay maging isang typhoon category. Dahil nga rin dito kay Kristine nakataas ang tropical cyclone wind signal number 3, sa may Ilocos Sur, La Union at Pangasinan. Signal number 2 naman sa may Cagayan, kabilang na ang Babuyan Islands, Isabela, sa may Quirino, sa may Nueva Vizcaya, sa may Apayao, Kalinga, Mountain Province, Ifugao, Abra, Benguet at Ilocos Norte. Signal number 2 din naman yung inaasahan natin sa may Aurora, sa may Nueva Ecija, sa may Tarlac, sa may Zambales, sa may Bataan, Pampanga at Bulacan. Signal number 1 naman sa may Batanes, sa may Metro Manila, Rizal, Batangas, Laguna, Cavite, sa may Quezon, Occidental Mindoro, Oriental Mindoro, Marinduque, Romblon, sa may northern portion ng mainland Palawan, kabilang ng Calamian Islands, Cuyo at Kalayaan Islands, sa may Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, Catanduanes, Albay, Sorsogon, Masbate, kabilang na nga ang Ticao at Burias Islands. Signal number 1 din sa may Aklan, sa may Capiz, Antique, kabilang ng Caluya Islands, Iloilo, Bantayan Islands, Northern Samar at ang northern portion ng Samar. So, lagi tayong mag-update at para sa mas detalyado impormasyon, nasa may website naman ito makikita. Meron din naman tayong nilabas na weather advisory kung saan meron tayong mga inaasahang malalakas na mga pag-ulan, dulot nga ni Kristine. So, sa ngayong hapon hanggang bukas ng hapon, Asahan natin yung heavy to intense rains, 100 to 200 millimeters sa may Pangasinan, Zambales, La Union, Cavite, Batangas at Occidental Mindoro. Moderate to heavy rains, 50 to 100 millimeters sa may Cordillera Administrative Region, sa may nalalabing bahagi ng Ilocos Region, Tarlac, Pampanga, Bataan, Bulacan, Nueva Ecija, Aurora, Metro Manila, Laguna, Rizal, Quezon, Oriental Mindoro, Marinduque, Romblon, Antique, Aklan, Negros Occidental, Palawan, kabilang na ang Calamian Islands. By tomorrow naman, heavy to intense rains sa Pangasinan, Zambales at La Union at moderate to heavy rains naman sa nalalabing bahagi ng Ilocos Region, Bataan, Antique, Aklan at Negros Occidental. Asahan naman din natin na sa mga matataas na lugar at mabundok na lugar, yung mas mataas na amounts ng rainfall at ingat sa mga nakatira sa mga low-lying areas at flood-prone areas sa banta ng mga pagbaha o pagguho ng lupa. Asahan din naman natin for today yung bugso ng mga malalakas na hangin sa areas outside wind signal area. So ibig sabihin, sa buong bansa, posible yung bugso ng mga malalakas na hangin. Sa Friday naman, sa Mimaropa, Bicol Region, Visayas, Dinagat Island, Surigao del Norte, Northern Mindanao, Zamboanga Peninsula, Barm, Socsargen at sa may Davao Region. Meron din tayong nakataas na gale warning dito sa may Batanes, Northern Coast ng Cagayan, kabilang na ang Bubuyan Islands, Ilocos Norte, sa may Ilocos Sur, La Union, Pangasinan, sa may Aurora, sa may Zambales, Bataan, sa may Cavite, Batangas, Lubang Islands, Isabela, Eastern Coast ng Cagayan, Quezon, kabilang na ang Polillo Islands, sa may Metro Manila, Bulacan, Occidental Mindoro, Palawan, kabilang na ang Calamian, Cuyo at Kalayaan Islands, pati na rin sa may Cagayan Silio. So, yung ating mga kababayan, kung maaari ay huwag muna tayong pumalaot dahil magiging maalon hanggang sa napakaalon ng karagatan sa areas na yan. Meron pa rin nga tayong gale warning, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, Catanduanes, Oriental Mindoro, Marinduque, Romblon, sa may Burias Island, southwestern coast ng Negros Oriental, Negros Occidental, Guimaras, sa may Iloilo, Capiz, Aklan at Antique. Meron din naman tayong storm surge warning sa may Aurora, sa may Cagayan, sa may Ilocos Sur, sa may Isabela, sa may La Union, Pangasinan at Zambales. Sa detalyadong impormasyon, bisitahin lang ang aming website, pagasa.usc.gov.ph. Under tropical cyclone, may kita natin yung forecast storm surge. So, itong mga area na to, kailangan mag-ingat tayo sa mga storm surge. At yan naman muna yung latest kay Bagyong Kristine. I-follow at i-like ang aming X at Facebook account, DOST_PagAsa. Mag-subscribe din sa aming YouTube channel, DOST-PagAsa Weather Report. At para sa mas detalyadong impormasyon, bisitahin ang aming website, pagasa.dost.gov.ph. At yan naman munang latest mula sa Weather Forecasting Center ng PagAsa, Veronica C. Torres.
Okay po, yan po ang lagay ng ating panahon ng mga kaibigan sa oras na nagatid sa atin sa oras na alas 7:35 po ng gabi, Philippine Standard Time. At tayo po, paalala nga ng Pag-asa, no, nandiyan po sa may parting norte ang bagyo na si Kristine. At ayun, nanonood sa atin si Tito Rick Santiago mula pa sa Bataan. Tito Rick, nandiyan ang bagyo ha, ingat-ingat ko yun. At medyo wag muna maglalabas, no? Pakisabihan mo yung iyong mga apo at yung mga anak mo, no? Ingat-ingat po tayo dyan. Tito Rick Santiago. Ayun, yung aking Tito Rick po yung taga-Orani po ito eh. Pero may nakita ko dyan, parang malalim yung tubig. Parang hindi ko malam kung bumurong nakita ko, Tito Rick. Parang dumaraga sa yung tubig eh. Nakita ko yung murong. Hindi ko malam kung murong yun. Okay, so mga kaibigan, tuloy-tuloy tayo. At kasunod nga po yan, abay, ituloy na natin kaagad, no? After niyang, nagkaroon po na isang situational briefing, no, na pinangunahan po ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr., no, kasamang ilang gabinete, no, ng ating gobyerno at pinag-uusapan itong ang sitwasyon at kung ano siguro ang gagawing hakbang dahil po sa bagyong si Kristine. So panoorin po natin, mga katropa.
Good morning, everyone. This is our SOP, every time we have a storm coming into our area of responsibility. So we'll start today with the, before we have already people moving, starting to approach the area. But we cannot really do much until the storm passes. And not the storm, but the severe weather. Anyway, let's proceed. Let me call to order the situation briefing on Storm Kristine. There is a briefer who will. Let us start with our. Let us go down our usual procedure and start with the weather situation from PagAsa. Oo.
Good morning, Mr. President and distinguished members of the Cabinet. Allow me to present the DOST PagAsa brief report on Tropical Storm Kristine as of 8 this morning. Next slide, please. This is actually the current satellite image showing the circulation of Storm Kristine. Nasa east pa ng Luzon ang sentro nito, but the cloudiness associated with the storm is located west or south of the storm's center. And currently it is located 310 kilometers east of Baler, Quezon, with maximum sustained winds of 85 kilometers per hour at Bugso na abot ng 105 kilometers per hour, moving west-northwest at 15 kilometers per hour. Yes, next slide please. Now, almost the whole of northern...
Can you show us a track?
Yes po.
With the forecast times when the center of the storm will be at what time?
Yes, and the succeeding slide, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
The whole of northern, central, and southern Luzon is under signal number 2, while the whole of Visayas I covered or under signal number 1. In particular, under signal number 2, the provinces of Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, La Union, Pangasinan, Apayao, Abra, Kalinga, Mountain Province, Ifugao, Benguet, Mainland Cagayan, Isabela, Quirino, Nueva Vizcaya, Aurora, Nueva Ecija, and next slide please.
Yeah. Right.
Bulacan, Tarlac, Pampanga, Zambales, the northern and eastern portion of Quezon, including Polillo Islands, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, Catanduanes, Albay, and the northeastern portion of Sorsogon. Next slide, please. While signal number 1 in the provinces of Batanes, Babuyan Islands, Bataan, Metro Manila, Rizal, Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, the rest of Quezon, Occidental Mindoro, including Lubang Island, Oriental Mindoro, Marindoque, Romblon, Calamian Islands, the rest of Sorsogon, and Masbate, including Ticao and Borias Island. Yes, sir.
We don't have to read out every single.
Yes, sir.
We have this
yes,
information.
Yes,
let's go.
Next slide, please. Okay, this is actually, Mr. President, the track of Tropical Storm Kristine. It is moving westward the next 12 hours, and then westward, no. Ito po ay inaasahan na maglandfall sa may Isabela or Northern Aurora mamayang gabi or early morning tomorrow, October 24. Inaasahan ito na mag-exit ng Philippine Area of Responsibility on Friday, October 25. Now, we expect also na the storm will slightly intensify into a severe tropical storm bago po ito maglandfall in the area. And then, upon crossing northern Luzon, nasa natin na mag-weaken slightly. Next slide, please. What to expect in terms of heavy rainfall? Inasa natin today ang intense to torrential rainfall, more than 200 millimeters of rain sa mga lalawigan ng Cagayan, Isabela, Apayao, Aurora, Quezon, Catanduanes, Camarines Norte, and Camarines Sur. While heavy to intense rainfall, the rest of Cagayan Valley, the rest of Cordillera Administrative Region, Ilocos Region, Rizal, Albay, and Sorsogon. While moderate to heavy rainfall today. The rest of Central Luzon, Calabarzon, including Metro Manila, Occidental Mindoro, Oriental Mindoro, Marinduque, Romblon, Calamian Islands, Masbate, and Northern Samar. For tomorrow, inasahan natin na napakalakas ng mga pag-ulan sa mga lalawigan ng Pampanga, Pangasinan, Zambales, and La Union. Samantala, heavy to intense rain, the rest of Ilocos region, Car, and Bataan. While moderate to heavy rains tomorrow in Tarlac, Pampanga, Nueva Ecija, Bulacan, Metro Manila, Cavite, Batangas, and Occidental Mindoro. Now, on Friday, we expect a gradual improvement of the weather, but moderate to heavy rains ay maasahan pa rin sa mga lalawigan ng Pangasinan, Zambales, and La Union dahil during this day, in-expect natin na lalabas na po ang bagyong si Kristine. Next slide, please po. In terms of severe winds, dahil sa malawak ang circulation na sakop ng Kristine, even those hindi sakop ng signal, storm wind signal, even in Mindanao, ay nasa natin na makakaranas na malakas na hangin. No? For today, Mimaropa, Visayas, and Mindanao. For tomorrow, ito po yung mga lugar or provinces na makakaranas na malalakas na hangin. And on Friday as well. Next slide, please. Dahil po inasahan natin mga lugar na under signal number 2, habang papalapit ang bagyong Kristine sa kalupaan ng Northern and Central Luzon, nasa natin ang storm surge. No? Nagpalabas ang DOST PagAsa ng storm surge warning. Ang orange colored, ito po yung mga dalampasigan na makakaranas ng storm surge na between 2 to 3 meters. Kaya ipinapayuhan natin ang ating mga kababayan living along these coastal areas na maghanda o maging alerto. While yung nakadilaw, ito po yung up to 2 meters wave height dahil sa storm surge. Next slide, please. Now, ito naman po ang status ng ating mga dams. Although generally, mga dams level natin ay safe. But like for example, ang GAT, bagamat umakyat ng 0.34 meters, but ang normal high level niya ay mataas pa.
Yeah.
This
is the one we should be keeping an eye on. There are 2 pages to this actually. So far, ang pinakamalapit is Pantabangan to the high level, normal high water level, if I'm not mistaken. Nonetheless, whatever it is, meron pa yata dito. T80.5. Anyway, we have to watch this carefully because we're just beginning. This is just the start of the rainfall. So yes, we're all right for now, but mukhang inevitable na mag-overflow o magre-release tayo ng tubig. So let's already start thinking about the downstream areas na tatamaan when we release when we are forced to open some of the gates para palabasin para pababain yung tubig. Pero planuhin natin na mabuti. Maybe if what we can do is do a measured response kahit hindi pa high water level, magbitaw na tayo ng kaunti. Pababain na natin na hindi apektado yung mga downstream communities. Magbitaw na tayo ng tubig para pagdating ng malakas na ulan, mababa na, hindi naman mababa, pero mas naibaba natin yung tubig para meron tayong konting breathing room. Ika nga. We have a little area that to watch na hindi papaabutin natin sa high water. Well, it is the gate open. Wala pa naman so far.
Mr. President.
Yes.
That's continued spillage already.
Yeah.
For Dinga and
yes.
Bagan.
So let's think about what can the downstream communities tolerate in terms of additional water, and do that. and try to release that amount, just that amount na hindi magkaka-damage, hindi magkakapinsala, hindi mababaha, hindi ba yung kaya nung actual na outflow na hindi na abala yung mga downstream communities. In other words, let's try to get the levels as low as we can without affecting the downstream communities bago pa dumating yung malaking ulan. Because from what we are looking at, it really looks like this storm is more about flooding. May hangin ng konti, but it's not to the extent of the other super typhoons that we have seen so far. So again, water level seems to be the key factor for Kristine. All right, so please carry on.
That's all, Mr. President,
all right.
for my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, the OCD, I think, has some information to provide with us.
Good morning, Mr. President
Good
and
morning.
Cabinet members. So, may I have the presentation, please, for Office of Civil Defense. Next slide, please. So, the scope of the presentation would be the situation overview, or and then the humanitarian effects, the response, and the gaps. Next slide. This has already been presented by the PagAsa. So next slide, please. So basically, Mr. President and Cabinet members, you've seen already in the reports that the massive flooding and unprecedented flooding happened in Region 5. Although, because of the massive or the circulation and the rain band, it also affected other areas. You would see that the darker parts are the severity of the flooding events, specifically in Region 5. And if you would look at it, more than 23,000, more than 150,000 has been affected. Next slide. And in terms of casualties, very minimal as of this point in time. And there was already the suspension of classes and the declaration of state of calamity. Next slide. And in terms of status of lifelines, as of this point in time as well, as of reporting time, still as minimal as that. But I think the most important thing to look at, and especially and as the reports come in or the information comes in, would be the damages on agriculture and even of the livelihood assets of the people. Next slide. Yes, sir.
Can we go one back?
Yes, sir.
One page back.
The previous slide, please.
All right. This is yung status of lifelines is something important that we have to monitor na mabuti.
Yes.
Simply because we are going to have to go into the storm affected areas at some point. So what we have to know for our own people is what are the roads that are possible, what are not, what need to be opened. I-prioritize natin kasi as it is already 93 out of 106 road sections are not passable. Seaports out of 34 in Calabarzon are non-operational. 34 out of 34 are non-operational. 10 out of 10 bridges in Region 5. So talagang it's isolated. The whole region actually is to a great extent is isolated.
So basically, some of the inactivity of the seaports and other communication lines were precautionary measures that has been undertaken.
Yeah.
And well noted, sir, on what you've mentioned, that we're still going to see more of the effects later on as the storm passes. As what has been mentioned by PagAsa, there's a lot of coverage in terms of areas to be affected still, and these are still initial reports po. And some of them are precautionary measures being undertaken.
Yeah.
And as I've mentioned, there would still a lot to see in terms of damages and losses to agriculture, specifically to the livelihoods of people. And maybe that would be the next part on what to do next. Next slide. And in terms of response, of course, in immediate response, because it's flooding, of course, the need for rubber boats and water search and rescue has been identified early on. And I think one of the issues that we have right now, which we'll be seeing in the later slides, would be the need for logistics to transport, sir. not just to transport people, but to evacuate people from harm's way. So next slide. And these are the additional needs that we're looking at, and as what I mentioned, that the gaps. Until this morning, there were already requests for additional rubber boats. That's why Office of Civil Defense has already been coordinating with some areas, specifically with Region 6 or Region 7, if there would be available rubber boats to augment the requirement in Region 5. And for those areas that has not been affected yet, where the storm is about to cross, they are already prepositioned more water search and rescue equipment. Of course, because of this massive flooding and expected to be more, of which water sanitation and hygiene would be affected, specifically the groundwater or the drinking water as well, and even water for domestic use. Food and NFIs, food specifically would be needed again in the coming days because of the evacuation that has happened, especially in the evacuation centers. NFIs in terms of shelter kits, shelter repair kits, and also some of the kitchen kits that would be needed, especially with the house that has been affected, even the second floor areas. So understandably, there would be more requests for NFIs. I mentioned already about the shelter repair kits. Where Office of Civil Defense and also with the Secretary of National Defense, Chair NDRMC, have already given some kind of additional guidance to the Office of Civil Defense to seek or to somewhat consider the request for international assistance for augmentation on logistic requirements, specifically for transport. Yes, sir.
Mr. President, if I may.
Yes, please.
Because I instructed our staff to make their own estimates of the possible effects of the rain in the coming days. We have the available assets to answer for lift capabilities as of this time. However, in the exercise of caution, we are planning two things to foresee the effects in the coming days. In the aftermath of the disaster risk convention, we are coordinating now with our ASEAN neighbors. I have already talked to our Singaporean ambassador to marshal their capabilities for airlift and other manpower assistance that they can pitch in. And we will talk to our traditional partners in the next few days in anticipation of airlift needs and other rescue needs, Mr. President.
Okay.
Next slide, please. So, Mr. President, we've been, from PagAsa, what we're doing here in Office of Civil Defense is to manage the information that we're getting. So we come up with likely scenarios. So the regions 1, 2, and 3, and CAR, and Calabarzon, since the storm has not passed them yet, we're still expecting actually, it's not just a likely scenario, the worst-case scenario for this matter. When we do our contingency plan, we would always come up with a worst-case scenario. So as what the Secretary of National Defense had mentioned, we're looking at planning for the next time, for the next few days. And this is what we're looking into, that there would be gradual intensification, and these are the areas that would be affected. Regions 1, 2, 3, CAR, Calabarzon. In terms of wind damage, not so much, but in terms of flood or water damages. And actually, what we are also most concerned, these areas, especially Batanes or the northernmost part of the country, has been already affected recently by Tropical Cyclone Julian. And I think they haven't much recovered yet. Actually, they're also still requesting for some NFIs. And these are the hazards that we are considering as far as the passage of this tropical cyclone would be in those areas. So, next slide, please. So, we are expecting
Mr. President,
more.
if I may, just one.
Yes,
Mr. President, if I may,
Yes,
the previous slide. So, Mr. President, what you see there is an image of a combined rainfall and flood and landslide risk analysis from the Mines and Geoscience Bureau of the DNR. So that's barangay scale, sir. So we can actually look at the level of risk to the barangay. So we have a listing that we supply to OCD in terms of the potential.
Also, that's how it's done.
Yes, sir. It's a combined model for weather, landslide, and flood risk together down to the barangay scale. Yes, sir.
All right.
So-
we can count on this data. All right.
So basically, sir, based on all of those information, flood risk, landslide risk, we are able to translate that on the number of most vulnerable people that could be affected wherever. And that is coming from the information coming from the SWD. So we are the most vulnerable. We're looking at the listahanan as an information coming from the SWD, and this would be the reference for the planning figure for our response. Next slide. And since there was also preparations being done in Batanes, this is an example of a response ex ante. Before a tropical cyclone would come, this is very much Filipino culturally recognized. They are already strengthening houses. That is happening as of now as of yesterday or even 2 days ago in Batanes. Once they receive their information, I think this is a very important, a classic example of how we prepare for tropical cyclones if wind damage would be expected. But nevertheless, this is how it is being done right now. Next slide. That's all, Mr. President.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. It looks pretty clear that this one is more about the volume of water that's going to be dropped in the areas. And unfortunately, I think it would be prudent to consider that we are only beginning. This is just the beginning. Now we're experiencing the same phenomenon that I have been commenting on all of us have been noticing. Ang bilis mag-develop ng bagyo. It was just a low pressure area, and now look at the strength of it. And the volume of water the volumes of water are unprecedented. Okay, so yun ang kailangan natin bantayan. So question, how nakapag-forward placement ba tayo?
Mr. President, I knew you were going to ask that. I have one slide and one slide lang if we can pull it up.
Yeah.
Mr. President, we're back to the 2 million mark. This is the national stockpile.
Yeah.
The red number is the total number of stockpiled goods nationwide, 2 million.
Right.
This was pre-Karina level. We had a very good run ng production this past couple of weeks. Now, if Mr. President, NROC is our Pasay hub. So we have around 176,000. Our Visayas hub has around 250,000. That's family food packs. Now, NCR must content, Mr. President, because we draw from the Pasay hub anyway. But the identified regions have very high stockpiles. Region 1 has 93,000. Region 2 has 109,000. Region 3 has 170,000. 4A 101, 4B 101. And then before this tail of Karina hit us, we had close to 162,000 in Bicol. So as of yesterday, Mr. President, we started distributing already, and we continue to distribute. Okay. Now we're already in the replenishment stage. Our Pasay hub is running at 20,000 a day, so that when the stockpiles of these offices go down, we can keep on sending them.
All right. Are there areas still that we cannot reach?
Mr. President, I was over the phone with the Mayor of Naga. In fact, Naga alone, marami pang roads na impassable. Then I was exchanging messages with Kong Elry yesterday.
Do we know why is it impossible? Nasira ba yung daan o nag-landslide?
Mainly,
tubig lang.
Mainly for localized flooding, Mr. President.
Okay.
But I'm happy to report, Mr. President, that the Maharlika Highway, except for the section of Calbayog City, the entire Maharlika Highway up to Manila now is passable now. Except there is one section in Milaor, which is actually only heavy vehicles can pass by now. But I understand from the report of my regional director just now that the rains have simmered down a little bit, so there is a good chance that by this afternoon the entire traffic will be restored along Maharlika Highway. However, there are many road sections, secondary road sections that remain to be closed for now because of localized flooding, and may mga soil collapse, Mr. President. But our people now are in the field actually taking out all this debris and to restore the traffic immediately, Mr. President.
To give us a better, can we have the map again of PagAsa of the track of the storm? I think this is going to be our best guide on what. Can I have the map? Can we have the map that you put up earlier? It is the PagAsa map of. There you go. Okay, so this is what we can expect by Wednesday. By 5 p.m. today, it will be off the eastern coast. It will not. The center of the storm will not have landed yet. And again, what is your forecast for landfall? What time and what place?
It's about 8 later this evening, Mr. President, or early morning tomorrow.
And
from around 8
Aurora, pero hindi,
8
ang
p.m.
landfall Aurora kamo.
Yes, Aurora
So
area,
that's
province.
good. And then this is if it's going at what speed? 15 kilometers an hour?
85 kilometers per
Huh?
hour.
No,
wind,
that's the storm. No,
the speed is 15 kilometers
15
per
kilometers
hour.
an
Mr.
hour.
President.
So ganyan ang magiging takbo. Usually we are pretty accurate as long as the storm has fully developed. We're pretty accurate. So ito yung kailangan nating abangan. These are the areas that, for example, I think we can start pag lumalayo na sa Bicol, sa Region 5, pwede na natin gawin lahat ng pwede natin gawin. Pero wag na natin pasukin muna ang Region 1, Region 2 dahil parating pa lang. So pabayaan muna, there's nothing we can do except wait for it to pass. Give all the warnings that we can give, evacuate as many people as we can. But we really have to just batten down the hatches for a day. And make sure that everybody has what they need. Everybody has the emergency supplies. Meron silang ilaw, meron silang tubig. But maybe we'll have to shut that down. Pero wag na sana tumagal masyado. But in the meantime, mag-isip na tayo how we are when we can go in with our equipment for the public works and to open to open all the thoroughfares. Once they are open, if they're not open, we will look to SND to fly it in, perhaps if that's the best that we can do. Patulong din tayo, we can ask the Coast Guard also. The Coast Guard also plays a part in that naman. So mag-ready na tayo. But all of us should have this map in our office looking at this, and this is what we have to anticipate.
Just to go back to your earlier, so bottom line, we plotted that all our field offices have ample supply in those areas. Actually, we went back to pre-Carina level, so our stockpile is quite strong. Okay ho tayo on the ground.
The problem is that it is not such a strong storm, but the effects are very wide. Kung titignan mo, layo ng Bicol actually doon sa center of the storm. Pero tignan, I've seen the news reports, ang laki ng tubig eh. Marami talagang binagsak na tubig. It's wide-ranging. Kahit na hindi 85 kilometers, we can prepare for that. Tapos dahil nga na madalas yung bagyo, na-saturate na ang lupa. So what we have to anticipate now, let's all prepare with whatever yung mga equipment ng DPWH, yung mga airlift ng AFP, yung mga relief goods and kung ano man, whatever all the other that we are doing.
Mr. President.
John Vic, we everybody is well informed naman.
Yes, sir.
Those areas that are under that
Yes, sir.
that circle.
Out of the 1,252 LCEs, 87 are present in their municipalities. Unaccounted for 175, they're either on medical or foreign travel.
Okay.
But all of it informed that all have activated their disaster response scenarios.
Sir, if I may.
Yes, yes.
Sir, on the parts of the DNR, we've also reached out to the private sector, to the mining industry. So they are now informed that they may be called to assist in response and recovery, probably rescue if need be, since they have the technical equipment and they have the manpower to perform rescue in terms of possible landslide and other situations. We've also asked and coordinated with the Philippine Space Agency. They've activated also image acquisition so we can actively monitor the extent of the impacts.
From PagAsa, the data that is coming in from space agencies incorporated to your forecast. Oh, kasama yan eh. Ang pagkaintindi ko, kasama talaga.
Yes, Mr. President. We have
function of sometimes our satellites.
We have access from meteorological satellites actually from Japan.
No, that's right. We need to get all the best data that we can. I think we're reasonably well prepared. The power is going to go out, whatever we do. We just follow our regular procedure. We take down the power when it is not safe.
Yes, Mr.
to keep the cables energized.
Yes. Mr. President, we have 16 electric cooperatives which are partially out of power. 4 are completely without power, including Sorsogon, Biliran, and as far down as Siargao. So,
yes, I know. I was surprised to hear.
So NEA is already coordinating, and so far as rehabilitating the ones in the Bicol region. 69 kV lines have been affected also in a number of areas. So NGCP, as you said, will be coming in as the weather situation improves.
Yes. Well, again, we turn the power off precisely to keep it safe, and then go back and take a look at the damage, see how we can repair it. There's sometimes a tendency in these areas because we say bring the power back immediately, So jerry-rigged lang yung mga ginagawa nila. But then it becomes permanent. And that makes the system frail, not robust. I don't know how we get around that. Because talagang there's a very, very strong demand. Balik na yung kuryente kaagad, as quickly as possible, bilis. So kung ano-ano na lang ginagawa. That's really that. Kaya yung mga nakikita niyo yung wire na bulbul, yun eh. Oh, dahil nagmamadali. Basta kahit paano, sige, basta ilagay mo dyan. Sige. Mag-short yan, di na bale, basta ilagay mo. Oh, sige, okay na yan. Tapos, dapat babalikan. Pero hindi na binabalikan. So we have to be conscious of that so that we make our systems more robust.
We take note of that, Mr. President. Yeah.
Oo nga. All right. Well, again, as health, you'll go in as soon as you can. Basically, yes. We can start to go in. I don't know. Depends also on public works and the availability of airlift. But we cannot go in right now. Maybe parts of Bicol, baka maumpisahan na natin. Baka pwede nang lumipad ang helicopter or something like that para makapasok man lang na makapag-report na mabuti kung ano yung sitwasyon. But the point right now is that the storm is actually still off of our coast. It's not yet hasn't made landfall yet. So the worst is yet to come, I'm afraid. So that's all prepared. That's just all prepared. So that the minute that we get the signal that it's okay to go in, we'll all be able to go in. Doesn't mean that that signal will be the same for everyone. Of course, the airlift will go in first, and then once the public works has been able to open at least the main thoroughfares, then everything else will go in. Health will go in, the relief goods will go in, and wala tayong magagawa if we just I'm feeling a little helpless here because we cannot all we can do is sit tight, wait, hope, pray that there's not too much damage, that there are no casualties, and then go in as soon and as quickly as possible with as much as we can to alleviate the effects to especially first to the population, and then afterwards we will take care of all the other infrastructure, the power, the roads. Let's watch again those dams, because we don't want the situation that happened in Cagayan Valley. We're just released without telling anyone, and there was no plan. And we all remember what happened there. So iwasan natin yun. But let's anticipate. Let's be proactive about it. Let's not wait for the levels to reach the maximum. Kung kaya, mag-release na tayo ng kahit kaunti lang para hindi biglaan na makapag-release, para hindi mag-overflow. So let's think in those terms that we'll plan ahead. All the dams that we think will be affected, let's think about already releasing some water, so that when the real water comes, it will be not as bad. Yeah. What else? What have we missed? What? Yes. Yes, Andy.
Mr. President, since this is a big, it will need big logistics, and coming from areas which are not affected, we would encourage coordination to keep the roadways in the areas not affected free, so that our trucks and other vehicles can freely move. And so we will be working closely with the Executive Secretary to recommend suspension of work or classes in the areas where we need to marshal our logistics just to keep the roadways free, Mr. President.
Well, like in any, the first responders are going to be the local governments. Silang una talaga makakapasok dyan. Let's be sure that kung meron talagang request for assistance, that we will try and give them the assistance. Kasi meron talagang mga bagay, meron talagang mga problema na hindi kaya ng local government o kulang ang local government. They need more. So let's make sure na may maganda yung coordination natin with at saka yung sa mga lokal na tumawag sila, magsabi sila kung ano yung pangyayari.
As a present, Congressman El Rey already conveyed this need for assistance as soon as possible, sir.
Yeah, all right. So we'll just stay very in close contact with them, so that we know what their situation is, and if there's they have an emergency request for augmentation of some kind, diba? Para maka-respond kaagad ang national.
Mr. President.
Yes, Secretary.
Well, Mr. President, I think for clearing of roads, we're happy to report also that there is no bridge that collapsed actually.
Okay.
So I think as soon as the water subsides in the locally flooded areas, our response teams will now be able to enter into clearing all the debris and like fallen trees and other materials inside. As soon as we are able to clear all the national secondary roads, we will coordinate also with the local governments where they would need actually the assistance of the department for clearing out the roads inside the local roads, Mr. President.
All right. The other thing is there was how do you call this? An offer again, rather a communication from MMDA for the water purifiers. Rex? Yan, yung water purifier. Kasi wala si Benher.
Sir, yung balde ho.
Well, there's that. And then yung dinadala na pinapasok natin yung galing MMDA.
Yes, sir.
Yung backpack na water purifier.
Yes, sir. I'll make the call sa MMDA.
You coordinate
yes,
with
sir.
them. Because again, we're going to run into that situation where water supply is critical. Baka magkasakit na yung sila mga tao sa water supply. So
I'll make the call sa MMDA.
Yeah. You coordinate with them so that where we immediately need it, and then we can do again the balde.
Yes, sir. We're sending na rin, sir.
How many do we send? I don't know if it's the same as in the time in Yolanda, but in the time of Yolanda, when we brought those the filtration system in, that was good for 100 people per day.
Sir, it's almost the same kasi ang ginagawa niya per evacuation center. So they cluster, let's say, 3 rooms, depending on how many are inside a room. Yung the one I showed you was parang 100. Same, sir. Yes,
the one that we had
yes, sir. It's still the same. So we're sending it over there, sir.
Sige. So, but how many? How do we ratio it?
So it depends on the number of evacuees that we have and the number of evacuation center. That's where we get the ratio, sir.
Okay. Yeah, and it's simple enough. How was your experience in Basco in Batanes?
Sir, okay naman. Wala naman untoward incident afterwards.
Pero nagamit talaga.
Nagamit ho nila, sir. In fact, we augmented pa some more. They asked us to bring some more.
That's a good sign.
Yes.
That means it's really effective. So let's keep that in mind. And then, of course, the MMDA has their.
So I'll call MMDA right after.
Yes, please.
Sir,
Yes.
if I may, sir, the evacuation areas will have no electricity and no communication. Do they have access to the Starlink system so that they can have internet at least for communication? Are we prepared for that?
Usually, the cell sites continue to operate, but it's not happening.
During a typhoon, sir, a lot of them stop.
Saan yung mga area na hindi natin walang communication?
We will know pretty soon, but I think Albay is pretty hard hit now. So I think in terms of preparation for the coming typhoons, maybe we should advance purchase and stockpile on the Starlink, sir. So
but that will, again, ganun din, kasama yan eh. Meron na tayong kasamang communication na dinadala.
Yes, sir.
We put up some kind of satellite system. Dati truck pa yan eh, yung malaking dish.
That's right.
Maliliit na lang.
Maliliit na lang yun, sir.
Yun ang but it will again depend on the accessibility. So maybe on the first airlifts, we can include kahit yung basic lang na communication system.
Yes, sir.
Kasi pagkaalam ko, ang mga cell site, mabilis bumalik because they have their own power. They have their own power supply. And they're able to do that. So, but nonetheless, we still have to put in, especially for government offices,
yes,
for the local relief response, para masabi sa atin what we need. And even when they send our people in, they have to report back to us and tell us what's happening. Yes, sir.
Sir, with regard to the water filtration machine of MMDA, this is the 6,000 liter per day machine. Nag-procure na rin tayo, sir, ng 34 similar machines so we can also deploy.
Nandito na, nasa atin na?
Yes, sir. So, Mr. President, we'll just coordinate with...
Very useful yun. That turns out to have been a very useful piece of equipment. Kasi nag-ano. All right. Okay, what else have we missed? Yes,
Mr. President, in terms of the airlift capability, we already have alerted most of our aircraft. But yesterday we also coordinated with our U.S. counterparts, and they are ready to send in their aircraft using our EDCA sites.
Yes.
And then if other countries are coming in, we will also establish our multinational coordinating centers.
Yes, there was mention of the international assistance. how do we? I'm sure maraming mag-offer, but we have to coordinate it also. What were you saying that we are in communication with other international agencies?
Actually, sir, the Secretary of National Defense has already made some kind of guidance to Office of Civil Defense in that regard.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We have to establish first the protocols before the actual deployment of military assets, sir. With Singapore, I already talked to Ambassador Xi. And then we are reaching out to Brunei, Indonesia, and Malaysia as the closest neighbors. In addition to the partner nations.
Well, this is where we make full use of the ADCA sites, especially for the activities ng AFP, pag airlift. All right.
Mr. President.
Yes, Secretary.
Maybe I'd just like also to announce, we actually just got recently verified for 3 international medical teams, level 1. So this is a 30-man team, complete with wash, facilities for outpatient care. I plan to deploy it, one in Bicol, the other one in Northern and Central Luzon, para ready to deploy healthcare with the whole team. Ano yung first country po tayong na recognize ng WHO with 3 teams in one verification. 5 taon na po nating tinatrabaho to. And then the first team actually already was deployed in Turkey during the earthquake a few years ago. So it's a international verification. Gamitin ko na for our national deployment.
Oh, very good. Okay, that's what we need. All right. Okay, once again, what have we forgotten? Ano pa? Ano pang? Yan, si Sec Jimmy. Yes, because how many? They are all lahat ng ports have been have closed for safety reasons.
There were 5,329 stranded passengers.
I was looking at that. I was watching the news earlier today. Yung mga stranded na passengers, ang problema ng PPA, hindi nila mabigyan ng release dahil wala naman sila pambigay.
Yes, sir.
In fact, the person that was being interviewed said, baka kung gawin namin yung makuha kami. So, DSWD should
operate, sir. Sir, we do.
Kasi wala naman sa brief ng PPA na magbigay ng release.
Yes,
sir, actually,
papalugaw na lang daw sila.
Yes, sir.
Sir, sa standard operating procedure, even in Bicol Port yesterday, in Macnog, we were there. We do hot meals. Sir, hindi yung family food pack kasi hindi nila makakain yun dahil wala namang cooking facility. We do warm meals on site.
Okay. Oh, good. Because marami yung stranded
There were 5,329 stranded passengers, sir, in different ports, plus 994 vehicles that should take the RORO, so they cannot sail because of this typhoon. No?
All right.
Yeah.
But the ports are shut down because of the weather.
Yes, sir.
So we have no forecast when they can operate again. Non-operational lahat doon sa area. Yeah.
Coast Guard will give the clearance if they can sail already. No.
Yes, Admiral.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. President. As soon as the area is cleared from the weather signal, we will lift the suspension of sea travel. But in the meantime, along the path, no sail po.
Better safe than sorry.
But nonetheless, Mr. President, there are some ports in Bicol which can be accessed just in case po there's a need for us to bring in supplies. The port of Pasacao can be accessed by smaller ships. And we are actually preparing 3 ships now to assist OCD or this WD in case they need our help.
Sir, if I may, I just got a call from Congressman El Rey. Out of 600 barangays in Naga, 300 are fully submerged, 1,000 fully submerged, unpassable by cars, and they are in urgent need of rubber boats and 6x6 trucks to evacuate people. And it's just beginning, so
Well, for them, in Kamsur, medyo
paalis na.
Medyo
Yes, sir.
na. Pero
So-
for the rest of Luzon,
yes,
it's not yet even quite begun yet.
that's right. So sila yung nauna. In his words, sir, they're in desperate need. Hindi daw kaya ng local government.
It's really the flooding that we're going to have to deal with. So, anong gagawin natin?
Sir, yung DND siguro ang
No,
mauna,
sir,
sir.
as we speak, we're pushing forward the additional rubber boats to proceed to the Solcom area, and already give instructions, sir, that we have to source some from Mindanao and the Visayas. J3 is working on it to Marshall already, sir, and if possible, we can even airdrop them in.
Okay. Actually, nag-withdraw na siya. Okay.
Sir, for the same area, the food packs are being withdrawn already. I was also talking to Congressman El Rey yesterday.
Wow.
The first 50,000 he's already taking now.
So
Yes,
they're
and I told him to
able
keep on withdrawing as he needs.
Alright. So, ganun na nga yung mga assets, because waterborne assets ang kailangan natin yung maliliit.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think for now, we pretty much covered everything that we can do. We are, except for the Bicol region, except for Region 5, we are still in the preparation stage. Region 5, pag-umpisa na talaga ng kasi basta pwede nang pasukin, the public works is going to work to open all the thoroughfares. Those areas that are isolated, kagaya ng mga 300
barangays out of 600, sir.
Kalahati ng probinsya.
Yes, sir. Are fully submerged.
Sir, it's because Camarines or the Bicol River Basin.
Yeah, it's river basin talaga.
Yun po yung Albay and Camarines
exactly.
Norte, papunta sa
Correct.
Albay.
Correct.
Mr. President, nandito po yung
That's why
General
lagi naiipon dyan eh.
Mr. President, nandito po yung General Manager ng Philippine Ports Authority. Tingnan natin kung nagugutom yung mga stranded doon. Mr. J. Santiago.
Good morning po, Mr. President.
Yes, good morning.
Well, ano lang po, tama po yung sinabi po ni Sec Bautista po kanina. As of 6 a.m. po kanina, nasa 5,329 passengers po yung stranded natin and 994 vehicles. So what we have been doing po, every time naman po na meron po tayong ganitong situation, lahat po ng terminals natin sa stranded, we provide them hot meals po, no? Pero ano lang po, Mr. President, normally lugaw po na mainit kasi wala naman po sa budget po natin yan.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Opo. But what we do po is we do it po out of pocket po ng mga empleyado din po natin.
We should have a more, hindi pwedeng ganun lang mga ad hoc. And thank you very much, and I'm sure it is a big help to those who are. No, but the government should have a more systematic way of looking after them.
Mr. President, if I may. Right now, we augment the hot meals, pero we're about to come up with our DOST ready-to-eat box. It's a day box na lahat na siya kakainin mo na lang. There are protein bars and all those stuff. Galing sa DOST. So we're about to launch it next month. So yun yung mas systematic way of doing it.
But that's something that yan ang talagang fell through the cracks na hindi natin napaghandaan. But so I'm glad it came out in the news. Ikaw ba yung in-interview?
Yes po, Mr. President.
Sabi ko na nga ba?
In fact po, if I may, ano po sana kami, request po kami sa kila Secretary Rex na once those food items are ready, baka po pwedeng mag-preposition po sa mga terminals po natin na malalaki para
We'll just do the same thing
Thank you, sir.
with a specific sa yung mga standard na pasahero pag sinara yung mga puerto.
Yes, Mr. President, when we procure that, patapos na ho, it's coming. The ready-to-eat boxes will pre-position sa mga pier po.
All right. So, sino pa? What else? Yes, please, go ahead.
So yung tungkol po doon sa power interruption, actually napaka-importante po na yung tungkol dyan sa interruption to make it short as much as possible because most of the water supplies in the provinces are also relying on the power.
No, it's a perfectly reasonable demand to have to bring
Yes,
that
sir.
power as quickly as possible.
As quickly as possible.
Ang daming hindi magawa hanggat may power.
And at the same time, sir, some of the cold chain in the hospitals
Isa pa yun.
are also reliant on
Tama,
power
isa
supply.
pa yun, no?
So it's important that these are some of the humanitarian aspects that we have to look into.
No
Thank you, sir.
doubt. No doubt. It's just that there is that that is that long-term effect which we have to pay attention to as well.
Mr. President, and
Yeah.
as you pointed out, we have to avoid the possible electrocution of people. That's why we have to check the lines first. NEA coordinates that with the electric co-ops before we can restore it.
It's really, we all want to bring the power back as quickly as possible. Pero bawat metro ng linya, kailangan inspeksyonin na walang putol, walang nag-short, walang, kundi pag inon yan, puputok lang lahat yan. Magkasunog pa, may masaktan pa.
Mr. President, with respect to the power, I remember we will just have to marshal it again. In the onset of El Nino, we made sure all the hospitals had generating equipment and other water facilities. So we'll just make sure that those are up to speed.
Well, as long as we have been able to provide the equipment, kaya naman. Well, between the generator and the water purification machines. Yeah.
Mr. President, DOH, for those which it is running and supporting, they have provided for gensets for all of this. So that's at least for 4 to 8 hours, they are able to provide for emergency power. So we can draw on that.
Yun ang limit, Mr. President. Usually we cannot use the genset for long periods of time. They're only for like that temporary power interruption. Yes. Then kailangan bumalik yung power din. Pag continuous nasisira yung genset.
So, hindi kaya. It's not designed for that.
It's not designed for continuous power supply.
Oo. No, there's no doubt we have to bring the power back as quickly as we can, safely. Yeah, so we'll do that. That's exactly what we will do. That's what we always do. Well, our procedures seem to be in place. There are little adjustments that we have to make for the specific situation, but right now we will just have to wait for the storm to pass and see what the effects will be. They seem that again, it's mukhang maliwanag na it's really the flooding that we are going to have to worry about. Not so much the infrastructure damage from winds. It's really going to be infrastructure damage and threat to life of the flooding that's going to happen. So the evacuation, tuloy-tuloy na natin yung Northern Luzon, kung saan yung talagang tatamaan, mag-evacuate naman. Sanay naman kami dyan. So the point being, since the storms pass in our area all the time, people are not so hard to convince na mag-evacuate muna. So basta't meron silang warning, gagawin naman ng mga local government executives. All right, I think we've covered as many things as we possibly can without seeing the final effects of the storm. So, okay, let's go. Let's prepare. Everybody knows what they need to do. Maraming salamat. Thank you. Sir.
Sir, question, Kristine-related questions.
So, sa program tuning, okay, umayag ng Kongreso or sa contingent funds.
check, check. Check, check. Mic check, mic check.
Okay, so mga kaibigan, oras natin abay alas 8, alas 8:37 na po ng gabi, Philippine Standard Time. At yun, napakinggan natin yung ginawa nila situational briefing dahil sa bagyong Kristine. Na katulad niya, sa ngayon po, talaga namang napakalakas po ng ulan. At talaga namang makikita natin na talaga siguro, lalo na sa ibang lugar o lalawigan, ay hinahagupit po ng malakas sa bagyo. Actually, particular, nandiyan po sa may bandang Cagayan, no? Yung bagyo, kasama na Bataan at iba pa lugar. Metro Manila, actually, kasama. Dahil lakas po ng ulan nga dito sa Metro Manila. Kaya Bulacan, no, malakas din ang ulan. Okay, so with that mga kaibigan, medyo maaga-aga tayo matapos at magbabalik na lang tayo bukas ulit sa ating Friday edition ng programang Tropa. No, muli, regards sa lugar nyo, Tito Rick Santiago, at si Kuya Dave Stanislao. Ayan. At siyempre si Ate Luningning Pahayag ng Barangay Bayan-Bayan nandyan sa Malabon. Magandang gabi. At sa lahat po na sumubaybay ngayon pong araw ng Huwebes, dito pa rin sa ating programang Tropa Friday edition. No? Muli po, ako yung naging kasama, ROCEL Lopez. Magandang gabi Pilipinas at mapayapang magdamag. Magandang gabi po. Talakayin. Biggest destruction of dangerous drugs worth 1.
Rebisahin, opinyon, malawakin, aksyonan. Kasama si Rosel Lopez, ang inyong katropa sa pagbabalita. Dito lang sa Millennial Online TV. Tutok na mga katropa!
Ikaw ba'y nag-iisa? Malulungkot? Dahil iniwan at ipinagpalit? Niloko? Naging minamahal? Kung ngayon, i-type sa iyong mga cellphone, Facebook o YouTube man ang Millennial Online TV. Dahil nasa Millennial Online TV na ang online haralista ng bagong milenyo, si Randall Villanos.
Sana'y di magmahil ng dati kung araw nang di pang bata sa piling ni nanay. Nais kong mauli ang awit ninang mahal. You are the one who makes me happy when everything else turns to gray. Walk on through the rain. Walk on through the rain. Though your dreams be tossed and walk on with hope in your heart.
At haharanahin kayo ni Randall ng iba't ibang awitin para maibsan ang inyong inip at kalungkutan kahit nasaan man kayo.
Hanggang sa tumanda. Come on. Matanda na, sana'y di tayo magbago.
At Pwede rin kayo makiduwit kay Randall tuwing Huwebes ng hapon. Ano pa hinihintay nyo mga kamilenyo? Tawag na! Barangay, pangunahing unit ng pamahalang lokal kung saan dito pinag-uusapan ang bawat sigalot ng mga residente ng bawat barangay. Dito rin pinag-uusapan ng mga piling halal na opisyal na barangay ang mga proyekto para sa kanilang barangay. Kumustahin natin ang panunungkulan ni Kapitan dito sa Dama Barangay sa Millennial Online TV worldwide, ang katropa ng bawat barangay.
At tinatapos ang ating pagpupulong. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pagdalo at tapos na po ang ating session. Enjoy na po tayo.
Hi, this is Hilary Gadon. Nananawagan ako sa ating mga katropa, no? At mga kaibigan, mga kababayan na palaging tumutok sa Millennial Online TV. At yan ay pinangunahan at yan ay pinangangasiwaan ng aking kaibigan na si ROCEL. At ang mga nanunood dyan ay hindi bobo!
Pinaigting, pinalakas ang bagong news online TV ng bagong milenyo. Millennial Online TV, ang katropa mo sa pagbabalita.